Recording will start soon. It is recording now. I will be quiet. Felix and I will be quiet and let you cook.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Schrieber. I'm with IfWeBuildIt.org. We are building fields for dreams to come true. We are a not-for-profit organization that is volunteer-run and community-driven. We are starting off in Kenya, but interested in expanding our efforts and our influence across Africa to help build baseball fields, to unite youth through play, and to grow the next generation of sports and community leaders. We support play, players, and communities where baseball has taken root already. So yeah, if you're already listening and you're on the African continent, then you know that there is an infrastructure gap for not just baseball, but many sports. We think that there is a huge opportunity with the young population and growing population across the continent who are keen for income generating opportunities, keen for recreational opportunities, and generally very interested in sport. So yeah, we've kind of taken a look at the ecosystem on the African continent and seen that grassroots baseball has been growing. It's been present for a long time, but at least 22 countries in Africa have some form of baseball or softball activity, including baseball, softball, or baseball 5, kind of the urban 5-a-side baseball. But only 9 countries that we know of have dedicated baseball or softball fields, and many of them are in disrepair. They might struggle with maintenance, or they might go underused. So we believe that there's a gap, and we can kind of step in to help fill that gap with some community leadership and baseball infrastructure to enable people to access safe spaces for organized play across the continent. So that's the map of WBSC Africa countries. We see there's a strong presence in East Africa. We've started off in Kenya here near Nairobi, where a lot of the baseball activity is. Obviously, South Africa has its own and probably most vibrant baseball ecosystem on the continent. But and this is kind of the lay of the land. So what are we doing to kind of support that across the continent? So we have a 3-pronged approach to growing the game that we love. And that 3-pronged approach is build, play, and grow. So we build because we believe that there's a need for safe spaces for kids' dreams to come true, for youth dreams to come true in sport. So we've started off by building kind of our flagship fields in partnership with institutions who have resources, who might have land, who are able to partner, who are interested to partner, and develop facilities that are dedicated to baseball. So the flagship kind of is the Halo product, where people can aspire to go and play at the premier facility. And then we also believe in developing kind of smaller grassroots baseball facilities within local communities, and having kind of going from both ends of the spectrum, like at the high end, and then coming from the grassroots gives you the best chance for the most participation. We are very focused on play and enabling play and fostering the development of community through play. And we do that by hosting leagues, series, and tournaments both at our facility and also at other fields. And then we also facilitate other activities with youth and with kids, skills events, academies, and camps that give both younger folks and young adults, and even people like me, to have the opportunity to play the game that we love in a facility that is safe and dedicated for the sport. Our last prong is grow. We want to focus on community, and we want to uplift our community. So we are focused on growing opportunities for the next generation of leaders. So with the growth of a sport comes opportunities in the sports economy. In baseball, we have coaches, we have officials, umpires, we have administrators of leagues, we have the ability to do marketing for sponsors, we have the ability to sell food and to merchandise. So we want to kind of foster those opportunities, and we want to give young people the opportunity to take the reins of those opportunities. And then lastly, another part of our approach, because we're involved with so many young people who are just coming out of university, we want to help them and their careers and grow their skills and their CVs. And so IfWeBuildIt has done a number of coaching sessions and leadership training sessions with some of our community members who are young adults who are part of our leagues or part of our play programs, or who are helping us build facilities. So this is kind of an overview of our initiatives and projects. It all started with the Nairobi Field of Dreams, located at JKUAT, which is a satellite town of Nairobi. And it's the first dedicated baseball field in the Nairobi area. And our vision for that is to grow it into the first multi-field complex in East Africa. We have the Nairobi Baseball Community Series, which is a series for 18 and overs. So it brings in youth that are in university, who are just out of university, and even the old folks like myself and some of my fellow Buffaloes to continue playing, to have organized and structured league play. That has facilitated kind of a lot of activity and people able to actually access the sport, practice for something, and then have like real high-level competitions, because without competition, we have to be practicing for something, and it gives people the stage to perform. This year, we were very proud to do the first pilot year of Nairobi Little League, which has brought together 8 youth teams from across the greater Nairobi metropolitan area. And Little League is a global brand. It's actually one of the, if not the largest youth sports brand in the world. We got invited actually by the US Embassy late last year to set up a program with them, and we proposed Little League because it was a known brand that lots of people are participating in already. The Little League looks a bit different in Kenya than it does in the US, with kids that come from informal settlements being a part of teams that are either associated with schools or associated with academies. We're very proud because we brought together a whole bunch of partners to help make that happen. In addition, we have had various youth skills and leadership events, both at our Field of Dreams and also closer to town here in Nairobi. We have this one-off project that we're trying to bring in a lot of equipment to Kenya in this Field in a Box initiative supported by the Oriole Advocates in Maryland. They've been pooling, and also I think Angels at Bat has been contributing equipment that has been donated to the effort to set up our Field in a Box, which will facilitate equipment distribution across Kenya to enable more people to play. And then an important initiative of ours is the She Will Play. So our tagline is, if we build it, we will play. And as part of that, we believe if we build it, she will play. All of our leagues, including the Nairobi Baseball Community Series and the Nairobi Little League, are inclusive of women and girls who play alongside the boys in our leagues and our competitions. So how did we start? We started as players. I came to Kenya 8 years ago, not really expecting to find a baseball community, let alone a vibrant bunch of teams and people who have been in the baseball world for a while. But over time, we learned that there was quite a few teams and quite a few people interested in playing baseball, both expats and Kenyans. And then we learned also that it's very hard to access green spaces in Nairobi proper to play. We were competing for space with rugby or field hockey. We got kicked out of our sandlot pitch in the downtown high school. But we found a very interested and helpful and willing partner in JQuat. It's a Jomo Kenyatta University of Agricultural Technology based out in Juja, which is about a 45-minute drive outside of Nairobi proper. And the nice thing about that partnership, well, first they had players already. They had players that were going to the Kenya national baseball team. And so those players were practicing in like small green areas at the front of campus and then on the rugby fields. When we went out to play with them, we played on their rugby field, which is a bit small for baseball. And so the administrators of JQuat heard about these games that were happening and ended up approaching our team, which was made up of some Americans and Canadian expats who are resident in Kenya. And they said, we have this land, and we have baseball players. Tell us why we should build a baseball field. And my co-founder Tom saw a John Deere tractor going behind the vice chancellor, who at the time was there, and in a moment of inspiration, he said, "Well, you have to build it to find out who will come." And so that's the callback to the Field of Dreams line: "If you build it, they will come." We are in this project have very focused on community and partnering with people and building as a grassroots. So that's why we say, if we build it, we will play. If we build it, she will play. And so this is our proof of concept, that if we build a facility dedicated to baseball, we will have a chance to play and people will come to play. And so that's what we have done. You can see here in the before picture, we were given kind of this green field that was cleared and relatively flat, and offered that space by the university to develop what is now the first baseball fields in the Nairobi area. And it's a true community project because it was hand in hand with the university that happened. When JQuat approached us, we were like, well, we're not super wealthy individuals. We can't just blow a bunch of money on this baseball field, and we have day jobs. This is all like volunteer for us. But you as a university, you have all of these resources. You have an architecture department, you have a landscape architecture department. You have students who are in those departments who are doing surveying, who are doing this type of design work. Let's build it together. And so that is how it started. And slowly, we've gone from clearing that field, learning about how to build a stable soil on the top of a very clay black cotton soil. So clay soil tends to like crack and have a lot of irregularities when the dry season comes, and then turn into mush and mud when the rainy season comes. So we had to figure out how to contend with that. We've brought in soil from another part of campus, and then slowly we built a backstop and dugouts, and now have a functioning field. In the future, our vision now is to create kind of this flagship facility where we can host international competitions with multiple fields, supporting facilities like a pavilion, like restrooms, like changing rooms, like the container that you might have seen in the championship series a couple weekends ago. So that's what you see in the bottom of the slide there is our future vision, actually quite near future. We're hoping to build a baseball field to a level of a US high school standard. So like 90-foot bases, WBSC standard dimensions in the outfield, and something that is all metal infrastructure, and that will be kind of a premier destination for baseball in the region. So yeah, this is actually, this is a photo from 2023. Where actually, sorry, 2024's baseball, Nairobi baseball Community Series Championship. And you can see it's truly looking like a baseball field. We've since added some additional facilities behind the backstop. But yeah, we've created kind of this dedicated place to play. You can visit us on Google Maps and see on satellite view probably some leftover chalk from the most recent Community Series. And this is a facility and an achievement we're very proud of. And yeah, the championship that is shown here, like this big event that we put on, this yearly event that we're now putting on, has really helped attract a lot of attention and give profile to baseball in Kenya, where a lot of people might not have known about baseball, what the sport is, or what it's even doing in Kenya before these events. And this was our 2025 championship festival just three weekends ago now, Felix, where yeah, you can see we've upgraded some additional facilities. So we use a shipping container that became kind of our HQ, our operations center, and built out some additional bleachers and shading and a space for scorekeepers, commentators, and the live stream. Yeah, and this field, we've kept it flexible, so we haven't built, pitching mound at 60 feet 6 inches. We want to make sure that it can accommodate all activities. So, baseball, softball, and Little League. And it's been a great flexible space for us to demonstrate in this proof of concept that there is viability if you build these facilities. People will come, people will play, and not just if we build it, but many other organizations have hosted events there and will continue to. So this other project of ours is the Nairobi Baseball Community. And so that's sprung up alongside the facility. We've built this kind of baseball field, and now we have this whole kind of community grassroots group of young people that are now coming up and helping to run it, helping to play on it, and also just growing the opportunity beyond just the university level. So as part of the Nairobi baseball community, we have both the rovers and we all participants and the administrators of Little League, all managed and run by volunteers, by folks who might have been playing baseball or part of it until after university. And yeah, one of the beautiful things about the Little League effort is that a lot of the young adults who have been players for some time are now finding opportunities to help in leadership of the Little League. So umpiring, administrating the league, coaching. So yeah, this has kind of grown up in a grassroots way alongside our first initiative, which was to build the field. And yeah, so since we started construction in 2022, we really bootstrapped because thankfully we had the land contributed from the university. We found that we had to we started out crowdfunding in Kenya, managed to build a backstop with those funds, and the backstop really changed the game. It led to a lot of activity. It led to us being able to have a safe space for baseball for both kids and young adults. But then we turned to our networks in the United States and started a GoFundMe campaign in the United States. And we say that we built our minimum viable concept, our minimum viable field, with about $30,000 in donations from people all over the United States and even in Kenya and all over the globe. So yeah, and after we started building the field, then we launched Kenya's first kind of organized baseball series. We managed to recruit our first ever corporate sponsor who contributed $10,000 in return for some promotional value to launch a 6-team series focused on university age and above teams. That was what we believe is the first women inclusive baseball series on the continent. And in doing so, in building the facility and then maintaining the play, creating opportunities for youth, for game officials in this new baseball economy. Yeah. And yeah, it's only been possible through this huge community of not just individuals, but also institutions and corporates who have stepped up to the plate and made a lot of in-kind contributions. So I won't go through every single one of these logos, but some key ones are JQuat, who's contributed land that could be valued as high as $1 million to just donate to this space, to this partnership, to allow us to create a safe space for play and real infrastructure for baseball. A lot of these organizations do work in Kenya and are in our networks already, and then we build relationships with them, and they could. Not a lot of people were able to contribute cash. What we found is that a lot of these organizations were willing and able to contribute services. So, for example, one of our big highlight organizations was Bazigo this year. As I mentioned, Little League in Kenya looks different than Little League in the US. In the US, a lot of the parents and families have cars. They're able to bring their kids to practices after school. They're able to bring them food. And so we had to facilitate all of that, the transport and the food and making sure kids were hydrated and fed. And Bazigo, when they heard that we lost our funding with the US Embassy for the Little League project, they stepped up to the plate. They said, you guys get free rides for the kids to the field location for Little League. And so those contributions of not just cash, but also like services and in-kind have been massive and a huge leg up for our organization in bootstrapping baseball in Kenya. So yeah, I guess I'll just recap some of what we've done since 2024 when we've had like a fully functioning field. We launched the first league in Kenya, the Nairobi Baseball Championship Series, as I mentioned, 18 and over. In what is probably the early beginnings of the Little League, we had a Diamond Dreamers Youth Clinic sponsored by Delta Airlines East Africa, where 200 kids came from all over Nairobi and just did a skills clinic with some of our coaches in the community and got a chance to just get on the field and play. Then we had our first festival to celebrate the full year of play in September 2024, the first Nairobi Baseball Championship, where we had the top two teams from the year of play among the 6 community series teams got a chance to put on a showcase and play in the championship game. Then we have kind of grown it from there. So in this year, we just completed the second season of the championship series. We went from 6 teams to 8 now. So we expanded. We had to play more games as a result. We ended up, the structure of that was we played, every one of the 8 teams played each other once a month. And then the top 4 teams went into a single game playoff elimination, which culminated in the championship at the festival just 2 weekends ago. We also just completed the Nairobi Little League inaugural season. And yeah, because we've been doing these activities concurrently across a couple of different age groups, we had it all culminate in the same day event, the Nairobi Baseball Championship Festival, where in the morning, the top 2 teams from the Little League got a chance to play. We brought all of the other teams, the other 6 teams of Little League to the venue so they could watch their peers, so they could be part of the action, so they could spectate and have a day of celebration of baseball. And then they all got to sit and watch us seniors go at it and see the top 2 teams from the Nairobi Baseball Community Series, the Championship Series, the 18 and overs, get a chance to play, and they get to then the kids get to see, what the game is like at the next level when you go to 90-foot bases and when you get a bit older and when you're in this more structured and organized league. So that was a really special event, and it really gives a lot of profile to the organization and the initiative. So we believe not only like having the construction of facilities, but also the growth of play to highlight how those facilities are being used. Those two kind of components are really synergizing very well. So then, yeah, as I mentioned, we are targeting phase 2 construction of our premier facility at JQuat, starting construction in October. In late November, we've been selected to host the Africa Continental Qualifiers for under 15 baseball, senior softball, both for men and women. And we're super excited about that because it means that the continent is now seeing that a facility can be built and host continental competitions in East Africa. So we're gearing up for that now. We are in the process of planning for construction of that field. And then we're in the planning phase now for the second season of the Nairobi Little League and the season 3 of the Nairobi Baseball Community Series. So yeah, our dreams are coming true. And it's thanks to like this amazing community effort that has grown out of the grassroots. Brings me kind of full circle to some of our lessons that we've learned along the way. You know, we started out just playing pickup games 8 years ago between a group of American and Canadian guys and some Japanese guys. And we were scrimmaging in a high school sandlot. And some Kenyan folks who were in the baseball community came to us and said, you should help build baseball in Kenya. And we met that with skepticism because we didn't want to be the Wazungu, the international folks who go around saying, you should play baseball because I like it, or you should play baseball because I think you should. We said, well, show us that there is baseball, that there are people who are interested, and maybe we'll talk. So I think we gave a couple thousand shillings to somebody in the baseball community and said, come bring some folks out for our next scrimmage between the Japanese and the American and Canadians, the Japanese and the Buffaloes. So when we did that, at our next game, about 100+ kids and young adults showed up with baseball, pants, cleats, bats, gloves, fully kitted out. And we were blown away. We didn't think that it existed in Kenya. And we said, well, we should support. So that was actually our first ever informal clinic. Our team, the Buffaloes, just helped with some skills development for the kids, and just like after our game, did a really informal kind of training for them. And that was kind of the grassroots of how it grew into a full-on organization. So that leads us to kind of our first lesson learned. So when we're talking about builds, we're talking about not just like infrastructure, but creating safe spaces. What's worked for us is that we have gone where play is already happening naturally and is poised to grow. So when we saw that group of kids coming to our scrimmage, we were like, oh, okay, so the play is happening, and it's happening somewhere, obviously, because all these kids have equipment and they came out to see us play. Let's follow where that's happening. So JQuat being a university, being a place where they already had athletes, they were already sending baseball players to the national team. It made sense for us to go out, play with them, and for them to be a natural partner. Which brings us to the next lesson learned. We believe in building together. Building without partnerships, just doing something on our own would not have been possible, would not have led to a facility that is getting utilized. So we believe in forging partnerships across the board, whether it's with public institutions, corporates, or even just relationship building with individuals and sponsors. We believe that partnerships are a really key to driving ownership of a project and collaboration on a project, because baseball is a team sport. So is building a baseball field. You can't do it alone. And then I think I made a little bit of this point, but building is not just about building infrastructure like backstops and dugouts and fencing. building is about creating safe spaces for play to happen. So for our Little League, one of the challenges with baseball is that an adult baseball field takes about 4.5 to 5 acres of space, and that is a huge land area, and that is hard to find in a densely populated metropolitan area like Nairobi or like Lagos or like Dar es Salaam. Like, it's in downtown, you can't find 5 acres. So you need to figure out ways to facilitate play, and then you need to figure out where eventually is that space where a partner can help. And for our Little League, one of the advantages of Little League is that the baseball field is much smaller. You can actually fit 2 approximate, like smallish sized Little League fields on a soccer field or a football field. And so what we did for Little League this year, you can kind of see it in this photo here, but we imported cricket nets that were used for cricket practice in the UK, and we imported them and set them up as temporary backstops on a football pitch. So that created safety for the kids, because you don't want to be playing, competitive, live pitching baseball without a backstop and without some kind of protective dugout for kids. So yeah, and then the final point is around lessons learned. There is start small. You don't need to build a giant facility to start growing the grassroots and start growing the interest and to start playing. We started with cricket nets for Little League, and we started with a basic wood backstop at JQuat. And as soon as we put in a wood backstop, things started changing. Students that were already there started practicing. We started going up more often for games. More teams became interested. More organizations came in and started saying, oh, you have the baseball facility. We've been running our baseball practices at soccer fields. Like, can we come and use it? Of course. We opened it up to everyone. So those are our points around the builds. Go where play is happening, build together, build partnerships, create safe spaces, and start small and bootstrap. Our next pillar is play. One of the reasons I think that IfWeBuildIt has gotten to the place that we have now is we have always prioritized players and play. There are lots of other interests that can come in when a sport becomes popular. People are interested in talent pipeline and getting people to the most highest level professional leagues by developing the top crop of talent. There are people who are interested in administering a sport in a country, and creating a bureaucracy around it and making sure it's regulated. We believe that's not the lane that we need to stay in as a nonprofit, as a volunteer-run organization. We have been focused from the beginning on empowering players. Maybe it's because we came to it as players, but for us, it's about getting out there and making sure play can happen for all age groups. And that point about inclusion leads me to my next point, which is give everyone a chance. Give girls, boys, men, women opportunities to participate. When you give people across genders and across the age spectrum opportunities to participate, in many ways, even if they're not necessarily playing, maybe they want to do scoring. Maybe they want to just volunteer and help set up a field. When you broaden the grassroots, when you broaden inclusion, and when you give more people the opportunity to be a part of your community, then those things down the road, when the sport gets bigger, the talent pipeline will come, the administration and bureaucracy around the sport will come, and that's okay. But yes, we believe that we have had success because we've gone to the grassroots and we've gone as broad in terms of inclusion as we can. The last point about play is about competition. So obviously baseball is a competition, everyone wants to win. But in these early stages where everyone is learning, the kids are learning just the basic rules of baseball, but even the young adults and even the umpires and even the scorers and the people administering the game are in a learning process, and they haven't been around baseball their whole life like some folks in America or in Canada or Japan might have been. And so we have focused on keeping our competitions competitive but friendly and as supportive and community focused as possible. So if an umpire makes a mistake, we really don't want to get in their face. We don't want to encourage that. We want to encourage learning. When another team wins, when the Buffaloes, my team, lost in the championship to the Samurai, this is their second time winning now. We were happy for them, and we celebrated with them because it was a victory for the community just to even hold the championship and to have a trophy for baseball in Kenya. So that would be a major lesson learned for us, and has been part of the growth of our community, is making sure it stays friendly, supportive, and focused on community. The final point I would say is around, our final pillar is around growing leadership skills, growing our community. And we believe that growth comes, as I mentioned, from the grassroots, creating broad participation, not just in play, but also in facilitating the sport itself, facilitating infrastructure. The broader your base, the more people you include, the more leadership opportunities will come, and the more leaders you can create out of that community. And we wouldn't be able to run a championship festival for 1,000+ attendees and multiple teams and dignitaries to come and visit without this base of at least 40 or 50 volunteers who are university age and above, helping to administer our programs. So grow from the grassroots, expand participation, empower young adults. So I'm not young, but I'm not old yet. But I'm not the youngest generation. But the youngest generation, I mean, it's growing, and they need opportunities. They need things to do. They need to make decisions. They need to take up the mantle for the next phase of growth of this sport. So we believe in empowering young adults in decision-making roles. They are coaches in our leagues. They are officiating. They are administering. They are organizing. They're doing our marketing. Now we have managed to put together this amazing group of young adult volunteers that we've seen a ton of growth just this year in learning how to run a league, in learning how to maintain a baseball field, in learning how to keep kids safe in Little League. And so empowerment of young adults is a key pillar of our growth side. And then lastly, like part of the success story is also around a rising tide for our community. So they say a rising tide raises all ships. If we're giving opportunities to community members to be in structured play, or to get a small travel stipend for umpiring, or administering, or sending emails, or any number of these things that have to happen for community organizing and for structured play to happen. If we give more of those kind of opportunities for skills development and upward mobility, that will only benefit the sport and benefit the community going forward. So yeah, I think that's it for what would, I think, help the continent, and the advice that we would give. I mean, I think I'll leave it there, and maybe open it up to some questions from Felix and Max. Thanks for the claps. And I will also, I think I'll just go through maybe a few slides about our construction plans. I'll leave it on our contact page, and then I'll go to the questions from you guys if that works. So I think I mentioned that we have this vision for this kind of flagship facility for baseball in East Africa. We've built field 1 and are in progress continuing to make improvements on our first fields, which you saw in the overhead view and in that view from the container at the festival. So we're starting construction. This is slightly out of date. We're starting construction this month on field number 2 with 90-foot base paths and WBSC outfield distances to accommodate the WBSC continental competitions and qualifiers that are coming in late November and early December. So we're really excited about that, along with trying to get donors and sponsors to help us build the supporting facilities like restrooms, like a pavilion, and get utilities out there like storage and solar power and water. Yeah, we've been focused also on, we don't want to, we don't want to have a negative impact on the environment. Baseball fields take a huge amount of space. And so we've been quite focused on sustainable and green design. We've preserved as many of the old growth and indigenous trees in the area that we can. We've upcycled a shipping container to house our HQ. We're using regenerative organic fertilizer for the fields. And we want some of the things we want to have and nice to have will be, clean renewable energy generation on site. We have a partnership with an electric bus company for the Little League transport. Eventually, we'd love to have electric vehicle charging at that facility. So this is all very exciting stuff and in progress now. Some additional seating for Field 1. And then this is the overhead view of the complex when we build the high school standard US fields. That's the final kind of slides. A little bit more from the community, a little bit more from the fields and the Championship Festival 2024. If anyone from this community, from this conference has questions, is interested in supporting in any way, feel free to reach out. My name is Kevin Schrieber. I'm the co-founder and treasurer, and my co-founder Tom Wallace, he is our chairman of the board. Feel free to reach out to either of us with any questions. So thank you all, and I'll open it up to questions from Felix and Max.
Thanks, Kevin. Felix, do you have any questions that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, so I have just a few, let's say 3 questions to maybe ask Kevin. And by the way, Kevin, that was a wonderful presentation. I've really learned a lot from everything, that it takes a whole community and maybe a whole economy to just come up with a baseball structure and to give chances to players to come and play and enjoy this great sport. So I have just one question. You've mentioned in your presentation that your hopes is to, the hope of, or maybe the vision of IfWeBuildIt is to go overboard, maybe to grow, maybe outside the borders of Kenya in future. So do you have in mind do you have any country in mind or maybe any region in mind that maybe in future you will stretch and maybe also go and do the wonderful work you're doing in Kenya? The other question, okay.
Sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just ask all the questions and maybe you can respond. The other one is about hosting the softball, the adult softball competitions in East Africa, which is a very good thing for us here in Kenya now that we are hosting this huge tournament. I wish to know the dates, just for the sake of our viewers. And number 2, the teams that will be participating in the tournament.
Sure.
So I guess I just have those 2. You can just respond to those.
Okay, sounds good. For the first question about like how we look to expand the impact beyond Kenya. Well, first, we think that having a flagship facility in the region will, in and of itself, attract interest in baseball in East Africa. We've already seen teams from Tanzania come through. For the WBSC competition at the end of November, we will be seeing, I think, South Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, and possibly South Sudan coming in. I haven't heard anything from West African countries, but I think that's the lay of the land right now. And the dates for that are, I believe, November 25th to 30th for the softball. And then I believe December 6th, 7th is the baseball. I'll have to double check and confirm that. But that, so yeah, there's the far-reaching effects of like having this flagship facility in Kenya, and then there's also ways that we are kind of brainstorming and thinking of supporting, other folks in other countries. One of the ways that we're bandying about right now is kind of a field fund, a Pan-African field fund, which could help. I know that there are existing fields that are in disrepair in Nigeria. We know that there are existing fields that need support in Tanzania. There's interest from countries like Cameroon, from Togo. We've gotten people from academies in those countries that are interested in building their own fields. We're not trying to come in and own all the fields and operate all the fields. We want to support local communities who can take that community ownership and run the grassroots and run it themselves. We want to empower them. So our vision of, I think we'll probably be formalizing this in 2026, is creating an African field fund and trying to support folks who are already playing baseball in other countries to develop their own infrastructure for safe play and for accessible play.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for that. Yeah, that was awesome. Just to highlight on a word that you've used here called Wazungu or Mzungu, for the sake of my other members in Africa, I mean the likes of Uganda and maybe any other country. So Wazungu basically means a white person, or rather a white man. So I'll give a chance to Max to share with us anything he has. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, to the other Mzungu here on the call.
I
Thanks,
will
Kevin.
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
so Mzungu is a Swahili word, and the literal derivation of that word of Zungu is someone who goes around in circles. So it came from like when early white colonialists came to Kenya and were walking around exploring, but they just looked like they were confused. So it's not necessarily like, oh, that white person. It's more like a term of endearment, but also, who are these confusing people?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and thank you again for this great set of slides and walking us through who IfWeBuildIt is, what you're doing, and why it's important. The one thing that I was thinking about is, let's say I'm someone who has a small baseball program who maybe has a field that they regularly play at in some other country on the continent. What would you maybe recommend as a starting point if somebody's not wanting to put up a whole IfWeBuildIt style, complex with this huge established network? Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight, as you've shown. But where do you think would be a good starting point for a small kind of group of academy players, coaches, and officials to, put up a place where they can have a safe and accessible place to have baseball dreams come true?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you can go with a flagship top down, but that's taken years now to develop. And I totally understand the situation a lot of people may be in, because that's the situation we were in 8 years ago when we were struggling to find a place to play in Nairobi. I'd say if you have a place that offers, fairly open access, but is secure, like a educational institution, that seems to be like a common theme for places that you can locate sports facilities that are safe and accessible. And if you have like a relatively flat playing surface already, the thing that changed the game for us was having a backstop. And that would be the place that I'd start. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be metal even. When we started with our, field 1, it is, if you can see in the slide right here, it's wood. It's quite simple materials. We, we had a fundi who was not like a fundi is just like a informal carpenter, who, we gave him our designs that were like just recommended from like youth baseball and softball. And we started off small and we built a backstop that was maybe around like $1,000 or $1,500. So like that would be the first place to start. You can even, if you have partners or you have, if you know people in the building world, you can get people to donate materials and even reduce that cost. So start off small, and having a backstop really establishes a baseball field because it establishes where a home plate should be, and it establishes where you should stand to spectate, and also establishes safety for the people who are behind the game. So and part of the reason why it succeeded is because Angels at Bat has been bringing in equipment. Like equipment is a key and fundamental part of baseball. A lot of people already had equipment, and we're privileged in that regard in Kenya because Angels at Bat has been working on that for a while. So for infrastructure, when we had the backstop and people already had that equipment, we were able to really facilitate play in a big way. Another maybe small anecdote is like we invited, I think it was the Koshin tournament run by the Japanese. And for that tournament last year, a team came from Zanzibar, from Tanzania. So it came from another country. They came and just blew everyone out of the water, won the tournament. But they saw that we had built a simple backstop out of wood and chain link fence. And they went right home and they used the resources at their disposal. They found wood. They used donkey carts to bring the wood to the fields. They found someone to donate some chain link fence, and they put up like a pretty solid replica of what we've put up. And that was inspiring to us. Like, if we were in the private sector, we'd be like, oh, that's our IP, but we're not, and we're open source, and we're about growing the community. And just building something like that to inspire someone else to build something of their own with their own community. That's what it's all about. So use the materials, use the partnerships, use the resources that are at your disposal in your local community that are already excited about baseball and poised to help it grow.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think those are really, really important points. And the only thing that I'll mention too, for those that might be listening to that answer and seeing, okay, now what's next for me and how can I reach what Kevin was just saying. Angels at Bat does offer a small grant program that happens every quarter called the Ubuntu Fund. We can put the link for that in the description, but we have had a previous awardee use their funds to put up a small, modest backstop at their school to house a baseball diamond in the future. But it's a testament to, it just takes, sometimes all it just takes is a backstop where you can play more safely and more accessibly. And so that is a resource that might be available to the folks watching this. But I think unless Felix, you have anything else, all we can say is thank you so much, Kevin, for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it. I know everyone watching also appreciates, and we'll of course put the If We Build It information in the description and share this all over. So thank you again. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And thank you Angels at Bat for hosting. It's a great initiative. And I'll send the slides as well. So you guys can feel free to send them around, and anyone who wants can reach out.
Perfect.
Thank you, Kevin.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
See ya.